So this is an Adobe character animator puppet I just created. Join me as I break down how I made this puppet from the drawing process up to the animation. Hello everyone, welcome to 2 and 3D. So this is sort of like a time lapse and I will be explaining what I did. So what you need to know is, okay, this is actually a textured character. So normally you are supposed to handle this kind of character in Photoshop, and that I will actually do eventually. But I'm used to Adobe Illustrator, so what I did here is I broke down the character into pieces here in Adobe Illustrator, and then I exported. This is like a summary of what I did. So and then I exported um, each as separate layers into Photoshop, and then I worked that. You could alternatively work on everything in Photoshop, like do everything in Photoshop, but I do prefer Adobe Illustrator. That is why I actually went this route, and this is exactly what I do when I'm creating AI textured character. Also, I break it down here in Adobe Illustrator before I move it. So what I'm doing right now is, because I actually am supposed to give this character facial, give it emotional triggers. So that's what I'm doing right here. This is just an image. The client sent me an image and I was supposed to convert it into like a puppet with emotions and that can actually walk. Walking is the only thing that I actually did on this character. So basically all you just need to do is, in my own case, I actually just made the angry pose. This character is not available, by the way. This character is like a custom character for a particular client, so it's not available on the site. So what I did is I actually went in and then made all the angry pose for the eyes and all those ones, and then I started the mouth for lip syncing. So all you just need to do, in my own case, what I did was I actually imported one of the mouths that I've actually created. You need a reference for this, and you need a reference for this. Honestly, you could do it without a reference if you are good, but I actually do without references sometimes. But in most cases, I prefer using a reference so that I do not have to go through the stress of like thinking about how the positioning and stuffs are. And there are certain things I adjust. There are times I adjust certain mouths that I don't like especially this particular one. This is an R pose, but that is not correct. That is L. So that I had to fix, and then I created a separate kind of mouth for myself. So all you just need to do is maybe get a reference and then try to mimic the mouth. Like this particular mouth is unique. I've not created this kind of mouth before, and that is why I had to do it. Now in some cases I just pick from my old work, just paste it, and it's all fine. It's fine and good and whatever. So what you need to know is, with textured characters like this, is you could actually alternatively, initially in the first instance, what I actually thought of doing was to actually make this in Adobe Illustrator, because I actually love vector files. So I was supposed to actually make this in Adobe Illustrator plainly, like actually texture this character directly in Adobe Illustrator. That is very, very doable, and I've actually done that, and I will actually do that in one of our tutorials maybe in the future. So it's actually stressful, but for the results that you actually get, it's actually good. And in some cases you do not even have to draw too much. You just need to import it and then image trace, because image tracing is available in Adobe Illustrator. So you could use image trace and then trace out, like the software will actually trace out the work, in as much as it will not be perfect and the coloring might be off a bit, but you could get it as close as possible. But then after doing that, what you will now be left with, a vector file with so many anchor points, which will now be slowing down your computer, which is really, really bad. So I would say, if it's not very, very simple characters, stick with Photoshop, honestly. So what I did for this particular character is, because the image that was sent to me was really not the quality was really poor. So what I ended up doing was I used Real SGAN. I think Real SGAN is an AI. I think it's Real SGAN. Yes, it's an AI enhancer. So I used it. I upscaled the image, and then I got a better quality so that I could import it into Adobe Photoshop, and still retain a sort of like, still have, so that the character will still have its dignity, like so that the the quality would not be so bad, because when you're working with bitmaps, it's really, I hate looking at pixels. I'm used to vector, so I really hate looking at watching those little box pixel. Anyway, so after doing everything you see now, I've moved into Photoshop, and now this is where you do all the correction and stuff like that. So right now I'm trying to draw the shoulders, and as you can see, I just had to, in fact I just had to like remake the entire thing, because you know the hands are actually overlaid over the shoulders, so I had to make that behind kind of thing. So basically what I did here was I just tried as much as possible to mimic what was initially there. I imagined what was hidden behind the forearm, and then I just tried to draw it as close as possible as I can. And this is exactly what you need to do, especially when you're working with images where some parts are covering other parts. So you have to like think out of the box, well, think within the character, just imagine what is behind and then replicate that. And that's exactly what I kept doing and doing and doing. And then before I came in, and then I started mixing everything up into a character, into one particular character. So you go to the torso, it's basically the same thing. You go to the torso. I tried to use some of the tools available in Photoshop. I know that there's so many people that are looking at me and are like, oh, this guy doesn't really understand Photoshop. Yeah, that's actually true. I am not used to Photoshop. I initially started out with Photoshop, but along the way I started using Illustrator, because most of my characters were mostly characters that were not really like textured like this, so I could actually just work with Illustrator and its vector file. And so why the hell would I be working with Photoshop in the first place? So I've actually covered there's a tutorial, there's a video I made about the advantages of using Illustrator over Photoshop. I would recommend that you check that video out. I would leave the link somewhere around this video, so just check it out, and maybe in the description you could check that also. So that's basically it. So all you just need to do is rework your, just keep working your character, just keep just imagine what is behind. Like especially this particular character, there are so many things that are behind an object, and those objects will become visible. You could get away without doing some of this work that I'm actually doing, but in this case this arm is going to be visible, especially when the character is walking, which is why I had to actually like remake this part, like remake it, remake the hand, so that add those details to the point behind. But if it's some point that you might not need to that will not be visible throughout, like when you're animating the character, you do not have to do most of this. You could just get away with like just making that, just cutting out that part and just keeping it at the position where it's supposed to be. Right now I'm working on the sack, and after I'm done with all these, just if you're having issue following this tutorial, maybe request, and then maybe I'll cover it more comprehensively, because I kind of like, this is not for a beginner. I'm kind of just going through the entire process for you. So just let me know in the comment section if you are not getting this, and maybe I could actually work on like a more comprehensive version of this video. So all I'm doing right now is now, since I've been able to create everything, draw the character, redraw all those hidden parts and stuff like that, now what I'm doing is I'm placing objects where they are supposed to be. So you create the head. Like me, what I do is I create character, and then under character I create like a profile. So like right, and then under right, that's where you now have the head and then the body. So in the head, what I do is I I create two layers under head, and one of the layer I name it FFT, that's for the facial features, and then the other I may name it face, just in case I want to be moving the jaw separately. So that's some of these things. I've covered them in previous videos. You could actually check those videos are very comprehensive, and you'll be able to learn a lot from that. So now you bring it into Adobe Character Animator, and then you rig the character. And since we are not going to be worrying about like hand finger changes and stuff like that, so basically all the triggers that this character is going to be shipping with would be the facial feature, the facial emotional triggers. That is for the angry pose. Those ones I drew in like just like 5 minutes ago or so. So I was able to, I had to add physics to this character because just so that it makes the walk circle a little bit more realistic and more convincing that the character is actually moving and bobbing. So I added dangle to his head, not the head, the his hat, that bulgy, that ball part of the hat, the Christmas hat. And I added that there. That's I added a dangle there, and then I added a dangle to the bags, two dangles to the bag, and that is just so that when he's walking, those points will be bouncy. So all you just need to do to make that happen, you see right now a part is disconnected from the other part, and that is what I'm going to fix right there. So you make sure you select both parts and then you place their anchor point at the same position. When you place that at the same position, what happens is they tend to move around that same position, so it will align to each other. So you, when you want the dangle to, you want the dangle to be more like, for it to be more bouncy, all you just need to do is to increase the reduce the stiffness. Yes, the stiffness, you reduce the stiffness, or you could increase the what is it called, I've forgotten what it's called anyway, but just work with the stiffness. The stiffness is fine. So that's basically it for this character. The character is quite an easy character to make because basically it's just walking. But the reason why this character was a bit more difficult than I anticipated was because of the texture. So I had to like paint, like trying to paint the character, something like that, and that was what made the character a bit more complex. Basically I just rigging the character, just putting the knee bone, the leg bone, and whatever, all those bones, the waist and the head bone and the neck, and when you put all those together, automatically you can just click a button. That's if you add the walk behavior, you could just click a button and the character will start walking, and that's just basically it. So that's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Please give us a like, give us a sub. It will really help us to reach more people, and it also help us to reach you with more content like this, and it also help us to stay in business, because honestly I've dropped so many videos already, and it just seems like the growth is a bit slow. It's way slower than I anticipated, but I'm definitely going to keep pushing out videos like this. Thank you for watching, and bye.